I'm Richard Lewis reporting for cadred.org, and I'm here with one of the big stories of this tournament so far. It's the Norwegian TargA, who was just guaranteed last 16. So, where to begin with your story? Let's talk about Mind Freak and how they picked you up and whisked you away on a wonderful magical adventure. Tell us the story.
Okay, when I first moved to Australia, my intent was not to play any StarCraft. Like, I was gonna pretty much stop playing. And then a few months went by and it got a lot colder than I expected in Melbourne, where I lived. So I had less stuff to do, and then I started playing a lot of StarCraft. Then I went home to Norway for the holidays. I came back again, and then and suddenly I was like one of the best players in Australia and sea. And then they contacted me asking me, like, what do you want? This is what we can do for you. This is what the organization stands for, and this is what they expected of me. And it was kind of like love at first sight. We both agreed on everything, and it was absolutely awesome representing them in Australia. And now I'm pretty lucky to get the opportunity to represent them in Europe as well.
Well, just before we move on and talk more about that, I picked up on something you said, and that was that you were thinking about quitting. So what had took you to that kind of extreme? Because I think to give something up just totally, even if you have moved to a new country, is something must have made you get there. So what was it? If you can say.
Well, there's not much to it. I started studying in Australia, and I was living with 3 friends. So I just expected that I wouldn't have any time for StarCraft, and that I was hopefully going to spend my time studying. But that changed. Also, before I left to Australia, I didn't play that much. I worked night in private security, and like when I got home, I didn't want to play, and before I went to work, I didn't want to play. I didn't have any energy to play. So I was way behind all the others that I kind of consider like my skill level equal to, and I was falling behind them, so I didn't see I wouldn't win any money, so I didn't see the worth of it to continue.
Would you say money is a big factor? I mean, do you play for cash? Do you play for passion? How would you describe yourself?
I play to compete. Like the past few tournaments that I've attended, my goal has only been to crush Koreans, to show that
they're not invincible.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think a lot of StarCraft players have like a mental block against Koreans, and I don't. I can't say that I'm doing it for the money, because I'm barely getting any money. If I wanted money, I would start working in Norway.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was going to say a lot of money out there to be made, especially if you spend it abroad. So, okay, I want to talk as well about, because Australia, I've interviewed a few Australian players, and I know it's like a crazy sort of place for esports, because it can be hard to get practice matches. You're so detached because of the way the internet works from the rest of the world. How did you find it, sort of practicing and developing your skills out there?
It's really hard. Some guys are lucky enough to have good ping to the Korean server, so they get really good practice there. But the ping is still really bad compared to what the Koreans are getting. I usually practiced on the North American ladder, which is also it's not good for practice, especially with the latency that I had. So, like, I think the best practice that I did in Australia was just watching streams and thinking about the game, because playing the game from Australia, if you want to compete internationally, it's just silly. You can't do it.
When did you realise then, in your words, that you were the best player on the continent? How did that realisation hit you? I mean, what gave it away?
I suddenly started winning tournaments, and I felt that I got a lot better like overnight. And there was a time where there was like a lot of downtime between tournaments in Australia, so I think some of the better players stopped practicing. And then like I was practicing a lot, so I just got better than them.
Right, so you've talk me through this tournament. What preparation did you put into it, and what were your expectations coming in to DreamHack Valencia?
I said someone else interviewed me like a written interview, and I said that I had two different goals. One is to get top 4 if I have a lucky bracket, and the other one was to kill as many Koreans as possible. So far, if I get a lucky bracket, I really think that I can get top 4. Yeah. The foreigners that are here are very they're beatable for me, and if I can avoid TargA, maybe the STC, I'm not too sure about his skill level, but if I can avoid them, I think I can get top 4.
Let's talk about what's been the best moment for you here so far. Obviously, I know you're not out of the tournament, so I don't want to talk too much about past tense stuff. But I mean, what's been because people won't have followed you. That's what I'm worried about. People might have missed you. You've been under the radar. So if someone had to go out and watch one moment from this tournament that summed you up and how great you are, what would you direct them to?
The first game against Oras, he had the game won. I was thinking that I have no way to win this, but then he started playing sloppy, and I made a pretty sick comeback, and I think people will enjoy that game, mostly because of all the stupid mistakes he did. And also I think my games against 4GG just showed what how preparation can work against a good player like 4GG, because I knew exactly what he was doing or was going to do, and I just blind counter it, and it was easiest match of my life.
Do you think there are a lot of players in this scene that kind of get a lot of sponsorship and a lot of attention, even though their skills don't really match up to that? We've seen a lot of players that I think people from other games in some cases, like WC3, that have walked into massive kind of sponsorships. Do you think that's fair for someone like yourself who's struggled for so long to make a name for himself?
Yeah, I actually think it's fair. They do a much better job than me with their marketing themselves as players or good players. They probably stream more. They have a bigger fan base. Like I said, I just recently started going pro, so my fan base is very small and mostly consists of Norwegians and Australians. Yeah. And both those scenes are very, very small compared to the North American scene and the European scene. So I think it's absolutely fair that popular players, even though they might not be as good as me or the Koreans, for that sake, I still think it's fair. They deserve it.
What has the Ministry of Win contributed to your development? If you think anything, I don't know.
It keeps me away from my home. When I'm at home, I have my parents nagging at me, brothers and sisters. Yeah, there's too much noise. I can't practice, and my brother took over my room as well, so I had to sit in the living room and play, and that's not good for practice. No. So Ministry of Win is the perfect option for me at the moment. They let me play. Nobody harasses me if I'm playing something serious. Everyone gets along. Everyone is friendly. There's a cook. There's people that clean. So we don't have to do anything except play.
So what's next for you, logically? I mean, obviously, let's not try and think too much about this tournament, because, I want you to get that top 4. I think it'd be a hell of a story. But where are you going to go next? I mean, after DreamHack Valencia?
DreamHack Bucharest, most likely. Or next week, I'm going to a Norwegian tournament. I think it's next week at least. And then after that, it's DreamHack Bucharest. And there's a possibility that I'm going to MLG Dallas, but nothing's set in stone yet.
And just one last question. This is just for my personal curiosity. I was talking to Snoot at another event, and he said he kind of felt a little bit lonely, being the sort of only Norwegian in this thin esports scene. Do you know him? Are you in a position now where you can sort of keep him company, metaphorically speaking?
I think I can keep him company.
Okay, well look, it's great to talk to you. It's been a brilliant story. I hope you get a great night's rest, and looking forward to watching you play tomorrow. To all the people out there at TargA, it is one of the big stories of the tournament. Honestly, if you haven't had time to follow it, make sure you do, because this guy's been ripping it up, and it's been a huge surprise and a pleasant one at that. But do stay tuned to our website. We're going to have more interviews just like this one from here at DreamHack Valencia.